So this is Bruce Lee doing his famous 1 inch punch, but actually this is simply internal Kung Fu, and Bruce Lee is the guy that made this famous. Now I'm trying to show and practice the same thing, but in a slightly different way. You see, Bruce Lee is standing up, so he has one leg forward, and he can use his legs to supply power through his spine into his front hand. Now I'm doing this in a push-up position. I'm doing two hands together, but I've got no real structure behind me. All I've got is the elbow, so I'm trying to use my elbow to generate a short, sharp punch into the ground with so much power that it actually lifts my body weight off the ground. So this will simulate a 1 inch punch, but it simulates it without any structure. All I've got is my elbow joint, and I'm trying to do this. This is from the movie Real Steel, and you can see this robot has got hydraulic arms, and a punch through his hydraulic arms can lift him up off the ground. Here you can see slow motion, hydraulics in the elbow, pushing up. Exactly what I'm trying to do. If you look at my elbow, there's no telegraphing of the motion. I'm not going down. From this position I go up, only up. Now this is a most advanced version. Here I'm doing the same movement, internal power. I'm controlling my body and throwing so much force through my joints that the bones are clicking. The elbows and the shoulders, even the wrists are clicking. So this is body efficiency training. My name is Toby, and today I'm talking about 1 inch punch push-ups. And this is my own development. I've developed this exercise over many years, and you can see here me again doing it. I'm trying to bounce. What I'm doing, although my legs are coming off the ground, it's not so much the legs that I'm using. I'm using my body structure just enough so that my whole body weight can come off the ground. But most of the work, the vast majority of the work, is being done by my elbows, my elbow joint. You've got to look at the elbows very carefully. So I'm locking up my structure. I am locking up all the bones together. I'm trying to drop a bit down into a neutral stance, although in these cases I'm also pushing forward, so you can see I've got a slight forward curl sometimes in the spine. But ideally I will drop down into a neutral spine, shoulders a little bit back, hips a little bit back, and from there I try and bounce. Now that one I was going a little bit lower, so the elbows might be bent 90 degrees, halfway down, but however much bent or straight the elbows are, I'm only allowed to use the elbows in 1 inch. So there's only 1 inch movement allowed in the elbow joint. It's got to be a tiny, short, sharp movement. And here you can see me again building the structure. So I'm rolling my thorax around, rolling the spine, creating a circle in the spine. I'm feeling the shoulders, feeling the rib cage, feeling the spine, holding all the joints together, the bones together, and moving around. So I'm moving and feeling my whole structure and feeling it down through the arms to the fists into the ground. And I'm using fists, but I'm using the bottom 3 knuckles, not the front 2 knuckles. There's 2 different ways of punching. You can use the front 2 knuckles, the first 2 knuckles, or the last 3 knuckles. Either way is okay, and there's slightly different effects. And again here, stretching out. You see, this is all about the tendons. You've got to strengthen up the ligaments and the tendons. The tendons create short, sharp movements. If you want to train tendon strength, you've got to train slow movements under resistance. So slow movements will, under great resistance, will train your tendons, and also very fast movements. Very fast movements will also train your tendons. So this is the fast movement. So I'm bouncing, punching into the ground. Now there's 2 ways of doing this. I can cushion as I land, so I straighten up a tiny bit, then bend again as I land, so I'm cushioning the punch. But I'm also going to work up to actually punching the floor, so I'm literally not cushioning. I have to land and impact. Now this is very advanced. This is vibrating palm, so this is a mysterious internal kung fu strike, and it's very hard to find anyone who can actually do this or even talk about this. But this is vibrating palm. I'm creating so much force through my joints that it's very fast, and it's continuous striking, and I'm palm striking into the ground. So I'm not even cushioning the strike. I'm trying to literally impact the floor every time I go up and down. I'm palm strike into the floor. Here you can see the vibration starting in my rib cage and spine, and I'm gradually from there trying to get it into the elbows, down into the palms, until I get a powerful strike push into the ground. Now this is another way of using the joints. You see, I call these impact push-ups. So this way I'm absorbing impact. I'm using my body like a shock absorber. So this is an obvious way. I've got a nice structure, trying to assume the neutral spine, and I fall forward and cushion, catch myself by bending the arms. So I catch with the wrists, but bend the elbows, the shoulders, and gradually lever into a straight spine, a straight body. So I'm using the whole movement to cushion the fall. So this is an impact that I'm absorbing through a large movement through the joints. And I want to reach forward as far as I can and try and push back and in one go get up again. And it's very difficult to get up in one go, but I'll do a couple of good ones here. So you see again, I feel the alignment, I've got to feel the joints opening, a stretch through the joints. Then when I land, I've got a cushion in the joints, and I can slowly cushion that fall down into the bottom position of a push-up. So this is a slow absorbing of the impact as I land. So that's one level. But I'm working up to a much harder level, and this is the hardest level of this exercise that I'm going to do now. So here I'm going to receive an impact, but I'm not going to cushion it. I have to receive it. This is simulating literally striking the floor with a solid impact. So my whole structure, I'm locking up, and I'm locking up into a neutral position, and then falling down, holding that solid structure. So I'm receiving a massive impact in my wrist. So this is dangerous. You can't do this without, there's a big risk of breaking your wrist, breaking your elbow, or dislocating your shoulder. This is difficult. You've got to work up to this if you want to try this. So I don't recommend you practice this. This is the most advanced method. But this simulates a strike. I'm striking a very powerful palm strike straight into the floor. So you can imagine if I'm standing up and I'm fighting an opponent, the opponent might be driving in towards me. I lock up my structure solid, and they just walk straight into my solid palm strike. Now I am still cushioning as I land, but this cushioning is very, very tight. It's very strong. I have to lock up all the joints, and I've got to stretch in all my joints. So the only cushion I've got is in the joint itself. I'm not bending any further to absorb the impact. I have to catch the impact straight in my wrist, straight in my elbow, straight into my shoulders and my spine. And this finally is the get up. So this is the get up that is done by the robot here. You see a hydraulic punch into the ground. So I call these hydraulic get ups. So what the robot does is very difficult. We can't do that. This is as close as possible as I can work out to do it. I've got to push a powerful strike in and then continue the motion upwards into a get up. So there's a lot of subtlety going on, lots of different ways I'm doing this. And here I'm just palm striking into the ground. So I'm doing the 1-inch punch, but I'm not cushioning on the landing. I'm striking on the landing. I'm using high impact into the ground, and you can see the camera shaking. So I hope this made sense. This is a very unusual training. Be careful if you practice. Check out one of these other videos here, and I look forward to seeing you next time.